There is a time for many words, and there is a time for sleep. Hi, I'm Jason, the Curious Psychiatrist. This time I'm going to talk about something closer to my area of expertise sleep. My clinical subspecialty is geriatric psychiatry, but I learned a lot about sleep during my doctorate course as my PhD supervisor was a sleep specialist and a good one at that. Never has sleep occupied the public's attention so much. Just a generation ago, sleep was for wimps, for fools, and for losers. It didn't matter whether you had a good night's sleep or not, because you could just make up for it with a cup of coffee, or 10, or pot, or later Adderall. Poor sleep had no effect on your health whatsoever, and sleep ultimately just got in the way. This has all changed. My search for sleep on Amazon yielded an amazing 200,000 results, with 70,000 books, 1,000 sleep aids, and 300 sleep sound machines. And a Google search for sleep improvement programs yielded an astounding 3 million results. And a few weeks ago, Time magazine ran this special, not about sleep itself, but about the hype surrounding sleep. Clearly, sleep has us hooked. I'm going to look at sleep from various angles and include some science as well, but I'll try to keep it as easy and simple as possible. So, let's get going. I'm going to start with how we view sleep. Sleep holds a distinct place in our culture. This is reflected in the words we use to describe it. Do we say it was glorious? Ecstatic? Exciting? No. We say it was sweet. Sweet slumber.
Sweet slumber till dawn, until the last star has gone.
It does not thrill you, or elate you, or tickle you. It does not make you laugh, but it merely refreshes you and makes you smile. It's sweet. This perception of sleep has more or less stayed the same. For instance, this is Hypnos, the Greek god of sleep. And although he looks kind of scary, he's actually quite gentle and helps mortals go to sleep. And when he tricks Zeus to sleep, it feels as sweet as can be. He is also the twin brother of death, which shows how the Greeks viewed sleep. And Homer said 3,000 years ago, sleep delicious and profound, the very counterfeit of death, which to me seems to be a very poetic way of saying sleep is sweet. The sweetness of sleep has also been expressed in more than words. This painting by Marc Chagall is titled Lovers Sleeping. And although the blue guy makes it seem slightly ghoulish, the radiant colors, the content smiles, the arms wrapped around each other, let you feel the sweetness of their sleep. And there's this movie called The Good Night. In it, our dear Watson from Sherlock meets a stunning Penelope Cruz repeatedly while sleeping and gets so obsessed with her and sleep that reality starts to become distorted. And soon, him and us all start to wonder whether he's sleeping or awake. These examples show how much we enjoy the sweetness of sleep, sometimes to the point of being obsessed with it, which I suspect some of you are already doing. We've seen how we view sleep. Now let's see how we actually slept. Improbable as it may sound, and perhaps even ironic to those of you who wake at night and have trouble going back to sleep, human sleep was originally biphasic, or we slept twice each night, contrary to the monophasic sleep of today. We went to bed soon after the sun set, and then woke up after about 4 hours, and played or prayed made love or wine, or even went out to meet our friends. And then we would sleep again for about 4 hours. Doesn't this sound great? I'd love to live like this. And in Western cultures dependent on wheat, whole families and even towns would go into a kind of hibernation during the winter. And back then, straw mattresses were used as beds, and wealthier individuals could use velvet or silk to cover their beds. This was the norm until about 200 years ago when the Industrial Revolution and Thomas Edison ruined everything. Suddenly, our culture changed to that which valued efficiency over everything else, and we had to work long hours and had no time to sleep twice. And Edison put the nail in the coffin with the invention of the light bulb. Now night became day, and we didn't have an excuse to tone down at night anymore. Afterwards, during the 19th century, spring mattresses were invented so we could at least sleep a bit more comfortably, but I don't think any of you will think that that was good enough to compensate for the loss of the night. And then came the 20th century. The first sleep drug, Barbitol, was developed so we could force ourselves to sleep, whether our bodies wanted to or not. And 7-Eleven started 24-hour schedules in 1963 to cater to those of us who couldn't or wouldn't sleep. Now in some places you can have a Big Mac at 3 in the morning. Being a night person, I do appreciate an order of large fries and a shake late at night. And from a historical perspective, this might fit better with our original biphasic sleep. But unless society changes and everyone can sleep twice a night again, I don't think such schedules are actually very helpful. Anyway, after we lost the night, research started to show us that sleep wasn't some hindersome burden we thought it was, but actually something that was absolutely essential. Now let's see why it's so essential. Evolution and natural selection aren't perfect and are not the answer to everything, but if sleep had no benefit, then a species that slept would not have occupied the top of the food chain. But we do. We, who sleep a third of our lives, during which at any time we could have been eaten all the way to extinction, are at the top. Why? This was a question that vexed many researchers, as we simply didn't understand the evolutionary reasons for which sleep was preserved. We still don't know, but research has shown that there is much more to sleep than meets the eye. First, memory is consolidated while you sleep. You can think of this process as your primary memory drive sending the images of the days to several servers deep in your brain, and then the servers talking to each other and recording not only the images but also your thoughts and emotions into something more permanent. Or more simply, you can think of it as the money in your wallet being distributed and deposited into the bank at night. Your brain is also washed and cleaned at night. While you dream, the areas between your brain cells are enlarged, making room for fluids to wash away the debris that has accumulated during the day. And third, microglia, the janitors of our brain, are unable to function normally without sleep, as you can see in these images. These are from my PhD thesis, and I discovered this, or rather would have been unable to complete it, without a lot of help from Dr. Mi-Hyang Cho. As you can see, we're not wasting our time while we sleep. We're actively reorganizing the fruits of the day so we can use them again, and also cleaning and recharging ourselves so we can perform at our peak the next day. Sleep isn't for wimps, for fools, or losers, but for everyone. And to those of you who think otherwise, you are also human. You can't beat your biology. Not sleeping enough is simply shortening your functional lifetime, or perhaps your real lifetime. We've seen how we view sleep, how we used to sleep, and why we sleep. Next week, I'm going to emphasize practicality and talk about how we sleep and how to sleep. Thank you for joining me today, and please stay tuned.